awesome.
Yes, folks, it is awesome. It is the dude in the housecoat, Justice Truth, with another housecoat chat. Let's get right into it, people. It is Monday. It is cold. It is late May, and I'm running my pellet stove. I have not set up my air conditioning unit in my house. I have two of them. One in the window, the other one's a portable one. Same idea, goes out the window. Have not set them up. It is cool, folks. It is what? It's not global boiling and it's not drought. So, where is our tall forehead coming up with the idea that we have issues? Just like the word wildfires, right? Wildfires. What do they mean by that? Oh, fires just spontaneously combust. Well, you know what? I have to tell you this because there's only two ways a forest fire on this planet starts: lightning and humans. That's it. And most of our forest fires of the last few years have mainly been lit by arsonists. Yes, arsonists, folks. They are the bane of society. They are the foot soldiers of the climate people. They do nothing good for us other than to propagate a narrative to try and force us citizens to look and say, oh my God, it's climate change. Not the guy with the jerry can and the lighter, or the magnifying glass on a steak, hoping for the day to be hot and sunny so it could spark a fire on its own. People, evidence gets left behind. We have wonderful technology now that can track people down. It's not the old days, and it's only getting worse, if you know what I mean. But all the craziness, all the talk of the weather, the climate, and everything else, and here we are. Lord, before my eyes, is showing me the truth. And I don't mean to be spiritual, religious, or whatever, but the Creator has said, hey, look, it's cool, and the tall foreheads with the white coats and the suits and the NGOs, the Minister of Environment, Stephen, Uneven Stephen, they all say we have to look out for wildfires. And even Justin Trudeau, while he was in Philadelphia, talked about the forest fires. It says, sorry, we haven't made enough yet. I am paraphrasing, but if you listen to that press conference, he is almost admitting, it sounds like he's admitting that we intentionally started it last year. If you look at the satellite data on all the fires that started last year, it's amazing how many appeared at the same time. And as a side note, for everybody that loves military and is all worried about military stuff, that these guys have stealth that, these guys have hypersonic this and that. Well, guess what? Nothing is truly stealthy. And these hypersonic missiles that they claim that are going to be crushing us on the so-called western side of the world, well, we've been practicing hypersonic missiles since 1940. We've shot a satellite out of the sky with a F-14 Tomcat, as well as the Navy and the United States military has shot out a satellite from the sky. To get back to the point of the stealthiness, and this is what blows me away, is no matter how the enemy, our perceived enemies, whether it's Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, say that they have some way of defeating our superior firepower to the neighbor in the south, the United States, yet none of these claims have been substantiated by the other side. And one thing that I realized and was informed by somebody who is a fanatic of the US military, I believe he is retired. He has a show on YouTube called The Habitual Line Crosser. I'm not going to put words up, pause it, read it, whatever, but go look him up. He's a smart fellow and he used to work in the military. And he says one thing about all these things that they have around the world that are so called stealthy is that the United States government, in its military power, can't see everything on this earth as it moves, whether or not it evades radar or not. Simply put, it's called satellites, and the Americans have quite a few. There is nothing in this world that the Americans don't truly know of what the other side is doing. Keep that in mind. Now, let's get back to some other crazy stuff. And I want to say this to all the people out there that are trying their best to do whatever it is that they think is right to move this country forward. I have to say, I applaud a lot of you. I truly do. Whether it is the Rebel News, whether it is Jeremy McKenzie, whether it is Cat Canada, the Pleb, Clyde Do Something, Derek Rance, Ferryman's Toll, and a host of others. Sunshine Baby, Capital Clip, This Guy's Garage, even Joe Moran's show, right? I mean, I have to throw in some of the lefties out there and stuff. You're all doing something to promote something that you think is going to benefit Canada. Now, as I'm saying, all of us that want to make Canada better, you're doing the job fine. You are. You're doing what you feel is right, and good on you. My point is that stop the infighting. Stop poking Clyde because his views, his show is doing whatever. Stop poking Cat Canada because she does whatever. Stop poking Jeremy McKenzie, right? Stop poking Joe Moran and realize that with this many dissident voices in this country that have a common theme, and that is our governance and the people that are in power needs changing. Now they are the supporters of the Liberal Party, I'll say like Riddlestar, Rachel Gilmore, right? Rachel, I mean, come on, girl. You could do a lot better at journalism, but it's a shame that you don't. It truly is. Shout out to Rupa. She is a good reporter. Shout out to a lot of the people out there. Even a shout out to Purdy Legal. Confused by all the stuff that's going on lately. But that gets back to my point is that everybody quit picking a fight with the other guy that's got a show. Do your show. Just do your show. People will come and find you if they are looking for you, right? Or you reach out and do whatever. But don't chastise somebody for having what they're doing. And what they do is successful for themselves and they have an audience. Good for them, right? I mean, CBC Radio 1 still has an audience. I don't know who really listens to CBC One. I do because it's in my truck. I have a radio, don't have satellite, blah blah blah, and I like to know what's kind of going on if I'm on the road. Anyway, I can't have my iPad on while I drive, right? Can you imagine that? Oh, I'm just gonna go down to Toronto. No, folks, I do like information. Do I take everything as gospel? No, I do not. Do I get caught up in the hype? Yes, I do. Do I research? Yes, I read books. I try and read. And why do I read? It's because I want to know the subject. I may not get down to 100% of the nitty gritty, but I like going down both sides of the aisle to come up with a conclusion for myself. And that is a good way to go. I try not to get caught up in the hype. And yes, I do get caught up in the hype. Who does not, right? Especially when it comes to children. I have grandchildren. My boy has grown up and he's raising children on his own, and he's doing a wonderful job as such. But everything in this world, everything that we do as citizens of this country, you have to realize that we are going down the wrong direction and we need to correct the course and get back to where Canada needs to be. Remember, Canada was a beacon of hope, a place to come if you wanted to live in peace, and you were supposed to assimilate and join the Canadian society. It didn't mean you lost your faith. It didn't mean you lost your culture. It just means you're coming into Canada. We are Canadians. We celebrate what we celebrate in Canada. We are encouraging you to celebrate along with us as Canadians, but keep your own identity as an individual. That's pretty much sums it up. Now we have class warfare, we have racial divides, we have religious divides, all created by our governments. And how did they create it, folks? Well, they created it a few different ways. First, they stoke the division and they make the fear. Yes, the government did. Remember, it's propaganda, and parties do what they do to try to retain power or to gain power, or voters use whatever word you want. Power, voter, it doesn't matter. Irregardless, a party needs votes to stay in power. So voting and power are synonymous, right? And here we are in this world with all this division, and it's funny that the opposition is fighting the opposition instead of holding the governing party to, their feet to the fire, right? And it's amazing to see Jagmeet attacking Pierre and siding with Justin Trudeau, while at the same time talking out the side of his mouth that Justin Trudeau is bad, and then trying to convince the voters that Justin is bad and he should be prime minister. But Jagmeet, you could call an election anytime. The key, you own the key. You have that power within you. But somehow the people above you, Jagmeet, are telling you not to. That's the simplest things that people can see. If people can't see that you're being beholden to another power, they are not paying enough attention to this issue. This video is going to be a little bit longer because I've been rambling on, but don't worry, folks. I am trying to just say that as a citizen of this country, we need to bring change and we need to bring positivity back and we need to bring change in a hurry before the change is, for a lack of a better word, becomes violent or agitating, right? We did not see anything really horrible out of the convoy during the Freedom Festival of a few years back. What we saw was a lot of people partying and having a good time. And yes, there were some minor interactions and negativity. But overall, the protest for the length of time that I was in Ottawa, and I feel for the residents of Ottawa, but it is so much better than what is going on now. Since October, we've had a country divided within on a conflict outside the country. Yet our government is failing to crack down on the harassment of individuals who may be of Jewish faith and even of the Palestinian faith, Islamic. There are on both sides, but the rhetoric, the language, the rallies, everything is almost like the opposite of what the convoy was. The convoy was about Canadian issues within Canada, and it got crushed by a stompy horse and the illegal use of the Emergency Act. And folks, they did not, I repeat, did not seek legal advice until after invoking the Emergency Use Act. That is King Trudeau. And I say King Trudeau because we are allowing him to act like a king. It is a shame, a very big shame that our country is this way. All I can say is let's make it a better country by being more vocal and standing up for what we feel as Canadians is right. And I wish we could have Canada back in a way that I grew up in the 80s and what I learned in school or the propaganda from the government back in the day. We are supposed to be a melting pot of culture, which is supposed to mingle and mix and get along, for a lack of a better word. There will always be pockets of racism. There will always be pockets of bigotry. And it ain't just from the whiteys, folks. There are a host of people that are not decent. And that is true. And it goes back to my saying before, you're either decent or you're not. And we need to be decent. And sometimes we may have to step on toes. We may have to use language that will hurt someone's feelings, but feelings are not facts. And we need to make a change for the better because what is going on now is clearly, clearly not working. I mean, you look at Mexico today. I just saw it on X that the Mexican government is kicking out all the illegal Americans that are living in Mexico because it's causing inflationary problems. I'm just having a sip so that you can remember what I just said. Mexican illegal Americans causing inflation problems. Now let's go back to Canada. We have an inflation problem. We have a mass migration problem because the government is allowing a lot of them in. It's just like, ah, the Americans with the illegal immigrants that are coming into their country. It's a quagmire of programs that seem to be set up by NGOs to infiltrate Canada, United States, and Mexico, basically. Not so much Mexico, but Canada and the United States. You see all these issues that are very, very similar. And yet, both sides of the liberal democratic side have a simple solution after they let them all in. Let them stay. Give them voting rights. Well, that's called vote buying, and that's called bringing a country down. And neither of them should happen. I look at what's going on in Germany with their new song that is sweeping the country, Auslanda Ross, Rose. If I'm saying Auslanda Rose, Auslanda Rose, I think that means outsiders out. So, I'm the sentiment's growing worldwide. Ireland, look at what they're doing in Ireland. They're burning down the migrant homes that the government's trying to force the migrants into. They're forcing these migrants into communities that don't want them and attacking their own citizens that are saying enough is enough. That is why I say on my post, Justice Truth on X, that the ivory tower people need to go. That is truth. The NGOs like Open Society by George Soros, WHO, World Health Organization, the United Nations. Um, there's a whole host of other ones, all the ones that are helping the migrant caravans come up from the Central America and South America on the way up, handing out rape kits and money and phones and stuff to people. Our tax-paying dollars, our charity dollars are all going for this. Our own money that we put into our governance as taxes is being used against us, while these rich NGO people, like George Soros, like the leader of Hamas, he's a billionaire. Is he actually helping out his country, or is he freely living in Crater, I believe, enjoying a luxurious lifestyle from the money we gave Gaza? You don't think he's siphoning it off? I truly believe it. All these things are used against us. Our media is used against us. That is why the independent media is so much on the rise that people are trusting the likes of Joe Rogan and Alex Jones more than NBC News out of the States, for example, even Fox News or the CBC, CTV global entity in Canada. We are truly, truly at a time in our lives that we are being bombarded with so much propaganda funded from funded from our own wallets. It needs to change. And by that, folks, I am going to tell you how you bring change. First, let's share this. Let's share some positive vibes. Let's get them out there. Let's make sure that this world can be a better place, raise our vibration. If you caught the Terrence Howard interview on Joe Rogan, vibrations play an important part of our life. So let's raise those vibrations, folks. Let's call the MP. Let's visit the MP, let's write a letter to the MLA, go protest a civic thing, do whatever it is before it gets worse. Once it gets worse, it's not going to be pretty, and it's going to be a long road get back to being normal if it gets worse. But before then, raise your voice, contact your MP, contact your MLA, your civic leaders, and tell them if things don't change, you're going to look at somebody else that's going to do the job for you in governance. And yes, folks, it needs to change. We all need to see this rise. We all need to see this go somewhere, and we all need to step it up. And I mean it because we are going to lose Canada and we're going to lose our Western values in this world if we allow the so called communist type ideas to further cement our way of life. And by that I mean diversity, equity, and inclusion. Look at Boeing. Huh, I will never fly a Boeing plane, right? You look at our government in Canada and you look at the DEI hires that they've got going on. I mean, no disrespect to Jolie, but you are not a foreign affairs minister. You, sorry. I mean, you just don't seem competent for the part. You're being misled by people and everything else. We need to step up, folks. Yes, we need to make Canada better. We need to improve our governance and our society. And the only way that's going to happen is through you and you and you and me. I'm trying something. I'm raising my voice. I'm bringing it out there. I am a introvert. I have a host of health issues, Bell's palsy, you name it. I really shouldn't be in front of the camera, but here I am because that is what is needed. We need to raise the voice. I'm using the power of the internet, the power of YouTube, the power of X to get out there and say something. And please, please, folks, get out there and make a positive change in your community. I think I spoke enough. Anyways, folks, this is Justice Truth. It's been a housecoat rant, a little longer than I should be, maybe a little off topic, maybe whatever. But the point is, go out there and do something good for your country. We need you.